I stand at the edge of the garden, watching guests filter into Jessica's wedding venue. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across manicured lawns, while wait staff in crisp white shirts weave between clusters of people, silver trays balanced with practiced ease. My sister glows in her wedding dress, surrounded by bridesmaids who flutter around her like butterflies, adjusting her veil, touching up her makeup. A man approaches with two champagne flutes, his Italian leather shoes whispering across perfectly trimmed grass. His silver hair catches the light, and his tailored suit probably costs more than my first car. Richard Hale, he introduces himself, extending one of the glasses. Father of the groom. I accept the champagne with a polite smile. Claire Thompson, Jessica's sister. His expression shifts, brows drawing together. Oh, you're just the sister? He glances around the garden. I figured her father would be here. The champagne turns bitter on my tongue. I swallow carefully, squaring my shoulders. Our father passed over a decade ago. I raised her. The words hit him like a slap, though his only reaction is a slight widening of his eyes. Before he can respond, the memory pulls me under. I was 22, hunched over my junior year textbooks in the university library when my phone buzzed. The hospital voice on the other end spoke in gentle tones about stroke, about massive bleeding, about doing everything they could. My pencil snapped between my fingers. The funeral passed in a blur of casseroles and sympathy cards. While our neighbors hugged Jessica, now 15 and shell-shocked in her black dress, I stood in the kitchen with the bank officer. His words hammered like nails. $140,000 in business debts, back taxes, foreclosure. 2 weeks later, we watched men in work boots carry everything out of Dad's garage. The tools he'd collected over 20 years of fixing cars. The ancient coffee maker that lived on his workbench. The sign that read, Thompson Auto Repair in fading red letters. That evening, I knelt beside his fresh grave. The October wind whipped dead leaves around my ankles, while the setting sun painted the headstone in shades of amber and gold. I'll take care of her, Dad, I whispered. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes meant a cramped one-bedroom rental in a part of town that made me double-check the locks at night. It meant dropping to part-time student status so I could work 3 jobs. Morning shift at a coffee shop, afternoon receptionist at a dentist's office, night stalker at the grocery store. My back ached. My feet blistered, but the rent got paid. Every night, I spread bills across our kitchen table like a general planning battle strategy. Budget calculations filled notebook pages, each number a small victory or defeat. Jessica's school supplies. $127.4. Electric bill, $94.16. Emergency root canal for Jessica, $850. My hands shook as I wrote the numbers, but I kept writing. Claire? Jessica's voice drew me from the bills one night. She stood in the doorway of our shared bedroom, a crumpled letter in her hand. I didn't get in. The rejection letter from her dream high school trembled between her fingers. Tears tracked down her cheeks, and for a moment, she looked so young it stole my breath. I pushed back from the table and opened my arms. She fell into them like she had when she was small, before Mom left, before Dad died, before everything changed. Listen to me, I said, my voice steady despite the exhaustion weighing on every word. You are brilliant and determined and absolutely unstoppable. This is just one door. We'll find another. But the tuition assistance, she hiccuped against my shoulder. It was our only chance. No, I smoothed her hair back. It wasn't. I'll figure something out, I promise. I didn't tell her I'd already pawned Mom's old jewelry. Didn't mention the night classes I'd dropped to pick up more shifts. Some burdens weren't meant for 15-year-old shoulders. The final blow came on a quiet Sunday evening. Mark sat across from me at our small kitchen table, his engagement ring catching the overhead light as he folded his hands. I can't do this anymore, Claire, he said. Your sister, she's taking over our lives. The wedding venue deposit? Gone to her braces. Our weekend plans? Canceled for her school events. When does it end? I twisted my own ring, the modest diamond suddenly heavy on my finger. She's all I have left. No, his voice softened. She's all you choose to have left. I slipped the ring off and placed it between us. The metal clinked against the wood like a judge's gavel. Then I choose her. He left. I sat in the darkening kitchen, listening to Jessica's steady breathing from the bedroom, and felt the weight of promise settle deeper into my bones. Whatever it takes, Dad. Whatever it takes. The memory takes me back to my beginnings. The logistics company's break room smells like burned coffee and microwaved leftovers. My laptop screen blurs as I blink away exhaustion, the warehouse management manual propped against my water bottle. 3 a.m. glows red on the ancient coffee maker, while the night shift beeps and rumbles beyond the thin walls. Thompson. Brad from security pauses in the doorway. Another late one? I gesture at the manual with my pen. Supply chain certification exam next week. He shakes his head, continuing his rounds. The door clicks shut, leaving me alone with diagrams of optimal storage configurations and inventory flow patterns. My notebook pages fill with cramped handwriting, each fact a brick in the foundation I'm building. The numbers dance together: throughput rates, storage coefficients, labor optimization ratios. 6 months later, the team lead position opens. My certification lands on the HR director's desk alongside my proposal for restructuring the Southwest Regional Warehouse Network. The raise doubles our grocery budget overnight. Jessica's college graduation falls on a Thursday in May. She spots me in the audience and waves, sunshine catching the silver tassel on her mortarboard. My chest tightens as I remember Dad's voice. My girls are going to college, both of them, no matter what. The world shifts that autumn. Marcus and Alicia, former classmates who actually finished college on time, crowd around my kitchen table on weekends. 3 laptops hum while we piece together the bones of what will become Waveline Systems. Our warehouse management software takes shape in wireframes and database schemas, fueled by pizza and determination. Local company agreed to beta test. Alicia announces one Sunday, brandishing a signed contract. They're paying us actual money. Marcus pops open cheap champagne in paper cups. I tuck the check into my laptop bag, already calculating how it'll cover Jessica's student loan payment. The calendar fills with client meetings and bug fixes. My dating app sits forgotten, notifications muted after the 5th time I've canceled plans to troubleshoot server issues. Jessica's Instagram shows her growing social circle happy hours, weekend trips, a new apartment with friends. One night, curled on my office couch at midnight, the doubt creeps in. The moths battering my window have more of a social life than I do. My 30s tick past in lines of code and quarterly reports. When did I last take a vacation? Had a real conversation that wasn't about work? But then the phone rings at 3 a.m. Our system has caught a major inventory miscount at regional distributors' main warehouse. The fix saves them $50,000 in potential losses. Their operations director sends an email titled "Thank you" in all caps. The break comes on a Tuesday. I sit across from the CTO of National Logistics, my presentation slides reflected in the glass conference table. Marcus and Alicia flank me like guardians. $850,000, he says, sliding the licensing agreement across the table, with an option to expand nationwide next quarter. My signature stays steady on the dotted line. In the parking garage afterward, I rest my forehead against the steering wheel and let the tears flow. Not from joy, though there's plenty of that, but from bone-deep exhaustion. From the weight of 7 years of grinding, poverty finally lifting. My new apartment in a secure building stays pristine, barely lived in. The furniture catalog perfection mocks me on the rare evenings I'm home. Jessica thrives in her first real job, her texts full of excitement about projects and coworkers. I answer between meetings, proud and a little lost. My role as guardian has ended. The emptiness echoes. The awards and accolades accumulate. Industry magazines want interviews. Venture capitalists circle with eager checkbooks. I celebrate alone, 1 glass of champagne on my balcony while the city sparkles below. The stemware came in a set of 4. The other 3 gather dust. The call comes at midnight, my phone vibrating against the stack of contracts on my nightstand. Jessica's name lights up the screen. Claire? Her voice bubbles with joy. You'll never believe what just happened. I sit up, sheets rustling. Tell me. Daniel proposed. I'm getting married. My chest constricts. Happiness and something else, something that tastes like letting go. That's wonderful, Jess. I'm so happy for you. You have to help plan everything. You're my only family, and I need my big sister. The words strike like arrows. Only family, big sister, not guardian anymore. Not the exhausted young woman who worked 3 jobs and cried over bills in the dark, just sister. Maybe that's enough. I sat down in the chair per her instructions so that she could tell me how she got proposed. Her words tumbled out in a rush. Last night at the botanical gardens. Oh, Claire, it was perfect. The roses were blooming and he had this whole speech prepared. My heart swells even as a familiar protectiveness tightens my shoulders. Jess, that's wonderful. I mean it, even while my mind races through spreadsheets and contingencies. Tell me everything. She launches into the story, and I listen, really listen, letting the warmth of her happiness wash over me. But beneath my smile, questions multiply. Who is this man who wants to marry my sister? What does he want from her? From us? You have to meet him properly, Jessica insists. Dinner tomorrow at Marcel's, my treat. I check my calendar, already knowing I'll move mountains if needed. What time? That evening, I sit cross-legged on my bed with my laptop, fingers flying across keys. Daniel Hale, graduated magna cum laude from Stanford Business School. Currently VP of Operations at his father's firm. Clean social media presents tasteful photos of hiking trips, industry conferences, family gatherings. Family gatherings. I lean closer, studying the faces. His father stands tall in each photo, silver hair catching the light, designer suits draped with casual elegance. Something nags at my memory, but I can't quite place it. The hostess at Marcel's leads me to a corner table where a man in his early 30s rises to greet me the next day. Daniel's handshake is firm but not aggressive, his smile genuine. Claire, it's wonderful to finally meet you. Jessica talks about you constantly. I settle into my chair, noting his careful attention to social cues pulling out my chair, waiting for me to be seated first. All good things, I hope. The best, he signals the waiter. She says you practically raised her after your father passed. That must have been incredibly difficult. Before I can respond, the waiter appears with wine menus. As Daniel discusses vintages, his last name clicks into place. Hale, Richard Hale. The CEO who tried to lowball an acquisition offer for Waveline Systems 6 months ago, dismissing our projected growth as optimistic at best. My wine glass freezes halfway to my lips. Richard's son. Jessica is engaged to Richard Hale's son. Claire? Daniel's voice breaks through my thoughts. Is the wine not to your taste? I lower the glass, years of business negotiations keeping my expression pleasant. It's perfect. Tell me, how did you and Jessica meet? He launches into the Storia charity auction where Jessica was coordinating volunteers. I listen, ask appropriate questions, all while my mind races. Does he know about Waveline? Does his father? The room suddenly feels too warm, too close. Excuse me for a moment. I stand smoothly. I'll be right back. In the restroom, I grip the marble counter, staring at my reflection. The woman in the mirror looks calm, collected. Inside, my thoughts whirl like autumn leaves in a storm. If Richard discovers I'm behind Waveline before the wedding, his pride, his reputation in the industry. Water runs cold over my wrists. I breathe deep, centering myself. Jessica's happiness. Focus on Jessica's happiness. When I return to the table, my smile feels genuine again. Sorry about that. Now, tell me more about your work with sustainable supply chains. Jessica mentioned you're passionate about reducing waste in the distribution process. The evening flows smoother after that. Daniel proves thoughtful, intelligent, clearly devoted to Jessica. When he describes their plans to volunteer together at a local literacy program, my tight shoulders begin to relax. Until the bridal brunch 3 weeks later. The country club dining room sparkles with crystal and old money. Jessica's future mother-in-law holds court at the head of the table, orchestrating conversations about florists and venues with the precision of a military campaign. The botanical gardens simply won't do for photos, she declares, waving away Jessica's suggestion. The Harrison wedding was there last spring. We need something unique. I watch Jessica's face fall and open my mouth to intervene. But the double doors swing open and Richard Hale strides in, his Italian leather shoes whispering across marble floors. He works the room with practiced charm, shaking hands, kissing cheeks. When he reaches our section of the table, his eyes skim past me to Jessica, the blushing bride. He bends to kiss her cheek. You look radiant, my dear. Then his gaze lands on me, polite interest fading to dismissal. And you are? Claire Thompson. I meet his eyes steadily. Jessica's sister. His brows draw together. Oh, you're just the sister? He glances around the garden. I figured her father would be here. The champagne turns bitter on my tongue. I swallow carefully, squaring my shoulders. Our father passed over a decade ago. I raised her. The words hit him like a slap, though his only reaction is a slight widening of his eyes. He recovers quickly, lips curving in what someone less observant might mistake for a smile. And what do you do now? Operations for a logistics firm. The partial truth slides easily from my tongue. Ah, his attention already drifts toward more important guests. Excuse me, I see the Whitmans just arrived. Jessica squeezes my hand under the table. I'm sorry, she whispers. I squeeze back, keeping my voice low. Don't be. His opinion of me doesn't matter. But I remain at the brunch, back straight, champagne glass steady in my hand. Each time Richard's gaze slides past me like I'm part of the furniture, I think of the acquisition offer sitting in my desk drawer, of the projections he dismissed so easily, of Jessica's smile when she talks about her future. Sometimes dignity means holding your tongue. Sometimes it means watching, waiting, learning exactly who people are when they think you don't matter. I raise my glass in a silent toast. To weddings, to sisters, to the sweet satisfaction of being underestimated. A week later, the torning light spills through gauzy curtains as I adjust Jessica's veil, smoothing invisible wrinkles from white satin. In the bridal suite mirror, our reflections merge her radiant smile, my steady hands. Something old, I whisper, lifting Mom's silver necklace from its velvet box. The pendant catches sunlight, scattering diamonds of light across Jessica's collarbone. I'd hidden it during the foreclosure, slipping it into my coat pocket while the repo men cleared Dad's garage. Claire, Jessica's voice breaks. You kept it all this time? Dad gave it to me the day you were born. The clasp clicks into place. Said I should give it to you when you found true happiness. Her eyes fill, threatening careful mascara work. I press a tissue into her hand before tears can fall. None of that. Your makeup artist will murder me. Jessica laughs, dabbing carefully. Remember when we shared that twin bed in the rental? You used to read me Jane Austen novels until I fell asleep. Pride and Prejudice. I adjust a stray curl by her temple. You said Elizabeth Bennet reminded you of me too stubborn for her own good. You were my Elizabeth Bennet, my Mary Poppins, your very tired sister who worked at a coffee shop. I squeeze her shoulders. Who you don't need anymore. I'll always need you, Jessica turns, gripping my hands. Everything I am is because of who you chose to become. My voice holds firm. Now, let's get you married before Daniel thinks you've changed your mind. The chapel doors part like curtains on a stage 15 minutes later. Jessica steps forward alone, our father's absence a weight we've learned to carry. The string quartet plays Pachelbel's canon, but all I hear is Dad's voice from years ago. Keep her safe, Claire. Bear. I watch from the second pew as Richard Hale beams beside his wife, playing the role of generous host. His Italian suit and gold cufflinks gleam under stained glass light. The same suit he wore to that business dinner where he called my company a plucky little startup and offered half its value. Daniel's face transforms as Jessica approaches. His eyes hold nothing but joy, pure and unguarded. When he takes her hands, his fingers tremble slightly. Their vows float past me in a haze of promises and forever. The reception space drowns in white roses and crystal. My place card sits at table 12, tucked between Daniel's second cousins and work colleagues. Richard Hale glides past without acknowledgement, champagne flute extended toward more important guests. Claire? Daniel's mother pauses at my table, pearls catching light. Such a lovely ceremony. You must be proud. Her smile stops short of her eyes. Very. I sip water, letting silence do its work. She drifts away as Richard's voice carries from the next table. Of course, our family connections arranged the venue. The governor himself recommended the caterer. A tap on my shoulder startles me. Jessica's maid of honor, Amy, clutches a wrinkled paper. They added you to the speech list, right after the best man. My stomach drops. That wasn't planned. Jessica insisted. Amy squeezes my arm. Said you're the only one who knows the whole story. I watch celebrations swirl around me. Richard holding court by the bar. Daniel's mother directing photographers. Jessica radiant in their midst. A lifetime of moments crashes over me, Jessica's tears over college rejection letters, my triple shift exhaustion, the Christmas we could only afford soup. The DJ's voice cuts through my thoughts. And now, Jessica's sister Claire would like to say a few words. Richard's dismissive glance follows me to the microphone. Expectation hangs thick as summer heat. I lift the microphone, letting silence build. My sister Jessica has always been an exceptional judge of character. When she was 15, our father died suddenly, leaving nothing but debt and hard choices. The first thing she said to me wasn't, "What will happen to us?" but, "We'll figure it out together." The room stills. Forks pause halfway to mouths. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment where the heat worked 1 day out of 3. I worked 3 jobs while finishing college. Jessica never complained when dinner was ramen, when Christmas meant hand-knit scarves, when she had to wear second-hand clothes to school. She just studied harder, dreamed bigger, loved fiercer. Jessica's eyes shine. Daniel holds her hand tighter. Some people measure success by square footage or stock portfolios. I measure it by the way my sister lights up a room, by how she pursued her dreams while never forgetting where she came from, by how she chose a partner who looks at her like she's magic. I turn slightly, meeting Richard's gaze. And yes, somewhere along the way, I helped co-found a software company you might have heard of, Waveline Systems. The name drops like a stone in still water. Recognition ripples through the crowd. Richard's champagne flute freezes halfway to his lips. But that's not why I'm standing here. I'm here because watching Jessica become exactly who she was meant to be. That's the greatest success story I'll ever help write. Silence stretches like pulled taffy. Then Jessica stands, tears streaming freely now, and wraps me in a fierce hug. The room erupts in applause, but I hear only her whispered words. I love you, big sister. For the first time today, I let my own tears fall. My last words hover in the air, crystallizing like frost on a winter morning. Our father passed over a decade ago. I raised her. The silence stretches across the manicured lawn, broken only by the soft clink of champagne glasses and distant string music. Richard Hale's face transforms as understanding washes over him. His eyes dart between me and Jessica, who stands radiant in her wedding dress, now frozen mid-conversation with her bridesmaids. Waveline Systems, he whispers, more to himself than to me. You're that Claire Thompson. A warmth spreads through my chest, not from satisfaction at his shock, but from watching Jessica break away from her group. She crosses the grass in a whirl of white tulle, tears streaming down her cheeks. Claire, she chokes out, wrapping her arms around me. Her pearl bracelet, our mother's, rescued from the pawn shop years ago, catches the late afternoon sun. You never told them about all the things you gave up for me. I smooth her veil, careful not to disturb the delicate lace. Because those things weren't sacrifices, Jess. They were investments in the strongest thing I've ever built. My voice stays steady as I meet her eyes. And she's standing right here in that wedding dress. Applause ripples through the crowd, but not the polite kind reserved for speeches at wedding receptions. This sounds different, genuine, touched by something real. A woman in her 60s presses a tissue to her eyes. 2 men in business suits exchange knowing looks. The next hour blurs into a kaleidoscope of conversations. CEOs who once dismissed my meeting requests now press business cards into my palm. Venture capitalists sketch potential partnerships on cocktail napkins. Through it all, I maintain the same quiet composure that carried me through 3 jobs and late-night study sessions in our cramped apartment. Miss Thompson. Richard's voice cuts through the chatter. He stands before me, his earlier dismissiveness replaced by an eager smile. I believe we need to properly introduce ourselves. These gentlemen are very interested in hearing about Waveline's latest innovations. I lift my champagne glass, letting the bubbles catch the light. Mr. Hale, I have to ask, why didn't you recognize my name earlier? Our companies have crossed paths before. His cheeks flush above his bow tie. I admit, I didn't make the connection. I should have. No, I take a small sip, savoring the moment. I mean, why didn't you recognize it when you tried to lowball our acquisition price last spring? The offer came from your office directly. The color drains from his face. Behind him, Daniel watches the exchange, his expression shifting from surprise to something that looks remarkably like respect. I wanted to see, I continue, my voice soft but clear, how you treated someone without a title worth remembering. I turn away before he can respond, spotting Jessica by the dance floor. She beckons me over, her smile bright enough to light up the darkest corner of that old one-bedroom apartment where we started. The evening mellows into something gentler. I dance with Mr. Peterson, our former neighbor who brought us casseroles that first month after Dad died. His wife taught Jessica to sew her own prom dress when we couldn't afford one from the store. Look at you two now, he says, his steps slower than they used to be but still sure. Your father would burst with pride. From the corner of my eye, I notice Richard making his way toward us again. His body language has shifted, shoulders slightly hunched, hands open in a gesture of peace. But tonight isn't about old wounds or new alliances. I catch Jessica's eye across the room. She raises her glass in a subtle toast, and I mirror the gesture. The crystal catches the setting sun, throwing patterns of light across the table, like the headlights of passing cars that used to stripe our apartment ceiling while I balance checkbooks late into the night. The string quartet begins to pack up their instruments. Guests filter toward the exit, carrying centerpieces and wedding favors. I watch Jessica and Daniel share one last dance, their shadows stretching long across the empty dance floor. My work here is done. Not the networking or the business connections, those were never the point. My real work, the promise I made at a fresh grave while October winds whipped dead leaves around my ankles, stands fulfilled in the center of that dance floor. I gather my wrap and clutch, slipping away from the last lingering conversations. Tomorrow, I'll return to board meetings and quarterly projections. But tonight, I carry with me the weight of a promise kept and the lightness of finally letting someone else lead the dance. In the parking lot, I pause to look back at the venue. The garden lights have come on, turning the evening haze into a soft golden glow. Somewhere in there, my little sister celebrates the beginning of her own story, one she's finally free to write herself. I touch the worn spot in my wallet where I still keep her first straight-A report card, earned the semester after we lost everything. Some victories echo far beyond the moment they're won. Some promises, once kept, free both the giver and receiver to become something new. A month later, the sunlight streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my corner office at Waveline, painting golden squares across stacks of acquisition offers. My coffee grows cold while I study Richard Hale's latest proposal, the numbers arranged in neat columns that speak of wealth and influence. His signature sprawls confidently across the bottom, a stark contrast to his terse emails from 6 months ago. The Hale Logistics account needs a direct contact. Marcus says from my doorway. He holds up his tablet, waiting for direction. Assign Andrea. I close the folder. She understands both the technical requirements and the family dynamics. Marcus raises an eyebrow, but nods. We both know what I'm not saying, that I won't give Richard the satisfaction of direct access, won't let him think his new respect means anything beyond professional courtesy. My phone buzzes with a text from Jessica. She and Daniel are back from their honeymoon, sun-bronzed and glowing in the attached photo. Dinner tonight? Later that night, the restaurant she picks sits halfway between her new home and mine. Jessica waves from a corner booth, and for a moment, I see the teenager who used to do homework at our kitchen table, determination etched into every pencil stroke. Dad's been asking about you, she says after we order. He mentioned something about partnership opportunities. I spear a cherry tomato for my salad. Waveline is doing well on its own. He's different now. Jessica fiddles with her water glass. After your speech at the wedding, I've never seen him so impressed. Or humbled. The word settles between us. Humbled. Not how most people would describe Richard Hale. What matters is that you're happy, I say, and mean it. Jessica reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. I am. But so should you be, Claire. When's the last time you took a vacation? I think of the calendar on my desk, blocks of time carved into meetings and deadlines. I'm fine. That's not what I asked. Her tone catches me off guard, gentle but firm, an echo of how I used to speak to her. When did my little sister grow into this confident woman who sees right through me? The letter arrives 3 weeks later, a plain envelope with familiar handwriting that stops my heart. Inside, a postcard shows a sunset over Lake Superior. On the back, in our mother's precise script, I saw you on the live stream. You raised her well. I'm sorry I left. No return address, no explanation for 11 years of silence, just 12 words that crack something loose in my chest. I slide the postcard into my desk drawer next to Dad's old pocket watch. Some wounds don't need reopening. The cemetery is quiet on Saturday morning. Dew dampens my shoes as I place fresh flowers by Dad's headstone, purple irises like the ones he planted in our old backyard. She's married, Dad, I say softly. She's happy. We made it. The business award in my car catches morning light through the windshield. Best emerging technology company in the Midwest. I don't mention it here. Dad would care more about Jessica's smile and her wedding photos, about the fact that she never had to worry about tuition or rent or saying no to dreams. Wind rustles through nearby trees, carrying the scent of fresh-cut grass. For the first time in years, I feel the weight of promise lifting from my shoulders. Not gone, but lighter, manageable. My phone calendar blinks with a notification. Antigua resort booking? I'd saved the tab weeks ago, then buried myself in quarterly projections instead. Jessica's voice echoes in my mind. So should you be. I press confirm before I can second-guess myself. Monday brings Sarah Mitchell to my office, 24, raising her teenage brother after their parents' car accident. Her resume shows 3 jobs, community college credits, fierce determination in every line. The position requires database experience, I say, studying her face. I taught myself SQL between night shifts. She meets my gaze steadily. I can learn anything you need. The garage sign hangs on my office wall, Thompson Auto Repair, still visible beneath faded paint. Dad's voice whispers from memory. It's not about where you start, kiddo. It's about how far you're willing to go. When can you start? Relief cracks through her professional mask. Immediately. I slide the employment contract across my desk, then add a stack of papers. The foundation paperwork too. Full tuition for your brother, plus a living stipend while you train. She blinks rapidly. I don't understand. Someone helped me once, I say, thinking of the neighbor who watched Jessica after school while I worked 3 jobs. Now I'm helping you. That's how we build something worth having. Tears spill down her cheeks. I pretend not to notice, giving her time to compose herself while I type an email to HR. Success isn't measured by acquisition offers or industry awards. It's measured in moments like this, passing on the chance someone once gave you, strengthening the ladder for the next person climbing up. When Sarah leaves, I open my desk drawer. The postcard lies next to Dad's watch, 2 pieces of a past I'm finally ready to release. Not forget, never that. But maybe it's time to stop letting old wounds dictate my future. I touch the watch once, then close the drawer. Time to live my own chapter,